Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Melina. While there's no simple formula to getting accepted into an Ivy League school, there are strategies you can use to maximize your chance of getting accepted. So I wanted to share them with you all today. Just for a quick background information, I went to Harvard for 2 master's degrees, one at Harvard Medical School and one at Harvard Graduate School of Education. And I went to Columbia for undergrad. Now let's go straight into the tips. Tip number 1, apply early action or early decision. Harvard's class of 2026 early acceptance rate is 7.9%, while the overall acceptance rate is only 3.19%. Harvard offers restrictive early action, which is non-binding, meaning that you have no obligation to attend the school even if you are accepted, but it still offers a higher chance of getting accepted. This doesn't only apply to Harvard, it applies to most other schools that offer early action or especially early decision. For example, Dartmouth's early acceptance rate was 20%, whereas their overall acceptance rate was only 6.2% last year. But make sure to check whether the school you're interested in is offering early action or early decision. Early decision is binding, meaning you have to withdraw your applications from any other schools that you may have applied to and enrolled in that school if accepted. Another important point you have to consider when you're thinking about early action or early decision is whether your application is going to be ready on time. Majority of the early applications are due sometime in November, whereas the regular decision applications are not due until January. This includes all your test scores, getting all the recommendation letters from your teachers, and crafting, editing, and finalizing your personal essays. So if you're interested in applying early, make sure to start working on your application early on so that you can have enough time and energy to craft the best application possible. Tip number 2, being well-rounded is not enough. If you have good grades, test scores, and you're involved in a lot of extracurriculars, that is very impressive and more than good enough for a lot of colleges. But if you're trying to get into somewhere like Harvard or any other Ivy League school, it might not be enough. To get a better sense of what I'm talking about, you can look up some notable Harvard alumni. There's some award-winning writers, actors, actresses, and tech geniuses who will invent something that changed the world we live in. Which leads me to my next point. Tip number 3, find and develop your spike. For universities that are extremely difficult to get in, extracurriculars will make a big difference in the application process. You can take part in any extracurricular that interests you, and while there's no such thing as a bad extracurricular activity, some will look more impressive than others. I think some of the more impressive extracurriculars include being a nationally ranked athlete or winning at a state tournament. And of course, it doesn't have to be sports. The area of interest doesn't matter, as I mentioned earlier. It can be art, music, sports, anything that interests you and whatever you're good at. For example, when I was in high school, I was heavily involved in visual arts and I won a national award. So I'm sure that looked more impressive to colleges than me just saying I was part of an art club in my school. I think having this one spike makes a big impact than being a member of a bunch of unrelated clubs where you're not actually contributing much. Tip number 4, ace your interviews. While the interview might not be the biggest part of the application process, many Ivy Leagues strive to interview applicants. If you are chosen to be interviewed, you will most likely be contacted by a school alum, and you should respond as soon as possible to set up a time and location and start preparing for the interview. You should do some research about the school and think about why you want to attend that particular school. And you should be ready to talk about everything you're involved in. On the day of the interview, make sure to give yourself enough time to get to the meeting place. Don't be late. And in fact, you should really never be late to any interviews that you may have later on in your life. And while you don't have to overdress, make sure to dress appropriately. Don't wear stuff like flip-flops or athletic shorts. I can make a separate video on how to ace your college interviews and questions you must prepare for if you're interested. Tip number 5, aim to get above average score. While test scores and GPAs aren't everything in the application process, I can't say it doesn't matter. Go to the school website and see what the test scores are of the recently accepted students. The middle 50% of Harvard's class of 2025 earned SAT scores of 1460 to 1580 and ACT scores of 33 to 35. And while the average is good, the higher in the range you score, the better odds of you getting accepted. And this applies for GPA as well. Statistics show that out of all the students who attended high schools that provide a student rank, 94% of admitted students were in top 10% of their graduating class. Don't stress out too much if you're not the best at taking standardized tests and you have trouble raising your score, because there will be other ways to make up for it in your application through essays and extracurriculars, but I'm just saying try your best. Tip number 6, tailor the application to the school. Different Ivy Leagues have different specializations and cultures. For example, at Columbia, we had something called core curriculum, which is more of a general education that all students were required to take, and those classes covered topics such as philosophy, art, music, and science. Or there might be a specific professor that you're really interested in getting to know and work with during your time at college. And it doesn't have to be just academics. It can be something like school tradition. For example, there's something called Housing Day at Harvard, where the upperclassmen welcome the first-year students when they are assigned to their house. Doing some research and tailoring your application to that particular school will not only make you look like you're more interested in that school, but it will also give you a better sense of whether you're a good fit for that school and whether you want to attend that school if you're accepted. Tip number 7, write engaging essays with deeper themes. Your application and your supplemental essays are supposed to give the admission officers a better idea of what you will be bringing into the school community. I know writing essays can get frustrating and time-consuming, so make sure to start early. I started working on them the summer before my senior year because senior fall can get very hectic, especially if you have SATs to take and you're taking a bunch of AP courses and applying to a long list of schools. Many students have trouble figuring out what to write their essays on, and this is where your extracurriculars and your SPIKE can help. If you have a SPIKE, let's say music, you've been involved in it all 4 years of high school, you founded a club in your school, and you won some awards. You will naturally have a lot to say about it, and you will be able to write in more depth and tell a personal story. It's your chance to demonstrate your unique voice and character. And remember that the point of the essay isn't to list out the number of awards you won. If you won an award, let the reader know how it helped you develop as a person or a leader, how it inspired you, and what you discovered about yourself. So focus on deeper themes. Tip number 8, get excellent recommendation letters. It's the best to get recommendation letters from teachers who can highlight both your intellectual and personal qualities. And remember that as an applicant, it is your responsibility to provide the teachers with all the necessary information to write you a strong letter of recommendation. For example, when I was asking my teachers for a letter of recommendation, I provided them with a draft of my personal essays and resume so that they can know what colleges I'm interested in applying to and what I'm involved in also outside of my classes. And if there's a specific format that's required by certain universities, it is your responsibility to let your teachers know to follow that format. Or if there's something specific you wish your teacher to mention in the letter of recommendation, it is also your responsibility to let your teachers or counselors know. So I recommend meeting your recommender one-on-one and taking the time to discuss what you have learned in their class, what you enjoyed about it, some of your best works and projects, and anything else they need to discuss for specific examples. Make sure you ask well in advance before the due date to give your teachers enough time to write you a meaningful and impactful letter. Even if you perform really well in that class, if you don't give your teachers enough time, they might not be able to put in the effort and time to craft you the best letter possible. Overall, Harvard and most other top schools want students who have good time management skills and work-life balance skills. The academics in these top schools are going to be very rigorous, so they want self-motivated students who can handle that rigor. They want students who are not only good in academics, but unique and diverse students who can add some value to the school community and in the world. You should try your best, but it's totally okay to not go to an Ivy League school, and your success in life is up to you. Good luck to those of you applying to colleges, and I'll be making more videos that will help you with your application and schoolwork, as well as college-related videos, so please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!